new shoes. Don't you just love new shoes? So today we're going to talk about the Hoka Evo Mafate 2. And we'll see what they've changed from the previous Evo Mafate. And just quickly compare it with a Speed 3. Okay, let's get into it. Hello. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Evo Mafate 2. So we're going to talk about what they are, who they're for, and why I bought them, and then we're going to go and take them for a test drive. Okay, so what are they? They're maximum cushioning trail shoes. So these aren't really designed for me. They're designed for people who running ultramarathon distances, off-road. Now for me, as an older runner, I run mostly off-road, so I want maximum grip, but I also want a soft ride, really comfortable, because I've got flat feet, and if I run a long way, my feet hurt if I don't have enough cushioning, and that's why I love Mafates. I've run in the cheaper Mafate shoes in the past, the Cliftons and the Challengers, but I find that they flatten out after about 300 miles, and also the uppers tend to break down, whereas these might be slightly more expensive. However, they last longer. They don't harden out, the uppers don't break down, so it's worth it for me. Right, if you're coming into these shoes from the first thing, I guess, is you might be slightly confused in that there are different types of Mafates. I think the thing to realise is they're all broadly similar. So if we look here, so here's an Evo Mafate 2. Here's an Evo Mafate, the previous version. And here's an Mafate Speed 3. Okay. So today we're on the Evo Mafate 2, and so the Evo Mafates are slightly lighter, sort of. So actually, yeah, the new one is about 5 or 10 grams heavier than the old one, but they're still sort of 30 grams lighter than the Speed 3. So I find that the Evo Mafate, it's a slightly lighter shoe. It's slightly more responsive in the forefoot, so it makes you want to run a little bit faster. Perhaps it's your race shoe, perhaps. Yeah, and that's it. Really, they're very similar. They've all got the same grip, same amount. They've still got, whether you go for a Speed 2 or 3 or an Evo Mafate 2, they've got huge amounts of cushioning. Yeah. So, okay, so what have they changed? If you're considering buying an Evo Mafate 2, has it changed from the Evo Mafate first? Okay, so here's an Evo Mafate, and from first glance you can see they look pretty similar. So the new one, the weave is slightly thinner. So the older one, it was like bulletproof. It was like, yeah, I thought you'd never break them down. I've been wearing these a bit, and I don't think there'll be any problem with them. I think the weave on the Evo Mafate is stronger than what they put onto the Speed 3. But I say I've had no problem with breakdown really with any of them. So So that's slightly changed. What else has changed? Well, the grip's the same on the bottom. Doesn't matter which Mafate you go for, they've all got the same grip pattern. Great grip, fantastic. They've added this little toe guard section onto the new one. I guess that stops water getting in as easily as you jump through muddy puddles. And it's a light weave, so yeah, I do find them quite easy to drain. That's good. They've changed the tongue on the new one. So the Evo Mafate had a very, very thin tongue. I didn't have a problem with it, but I did prefer the tongue in the Speed 3. So that the tongue on the Speed 3 is thin like that, but it's got two pads down, a pad down either side, and that gave you really good lockdown. So they've put a slightly thicker, they haven't put the cushioning on either side like they did with the Speed 3, but it is a thicker tongue on the new one. Yeah, so I did notice slightly more heel lift with this new one. There isn't a problem, but even with the lockdown, I think the best fit for me is the Speed 3. It really, you really feel really locked in. But I'm getting really nitpicky, really. There's not much difference between them. So yeah, why did I buy them? Why did I buy this one? Basically, I bought it because it was on offer. I will buy whichever Mafate is, because they're all they're quite similar. I mean, this one is slightly lighter, but still very good off-road. This one is perhaps got a slightly better lockdown feel to it, and it's just, you know, maybe slightly more cushioning in the Speed 3. Again, it's diddly amounts, and so it doesn't matter to me. Whichever one's on offer at the time I need a pair, Speed 2, Speed 3, Evo Mafate 2, I know they're all going to work. So, and at the time of purchasing, these were on offer £110, I think, rather than paying the full £150 or £160. So, no brainer, really. Okay, yeah, that's about it. I mean, good shoes. Let's go and take them for a test ride. So running down the pavement, lots of grip, no slip, doesn't feel like I'm wearing rugby boots. And then onto the cobbles, plenty of grip, no problem. Then we head down onto the track, onto the trail, planted, very comfortable, huge amount of cushioning, no problems at all. Through the mud, still plenty of grip. Obviously, like any trail shoe, if you run through enough mud, the cleats do fill up and they're not quite as stable anymore. But short of wearing spikes, this is as good as it's going to get, I think. Running over the fields now, it just gives you a feeling of freedom. Gives you the feeling you can run over any surface, over any distance, in comfort. Okay, back to the studio. Okay, welcome back. So, in summary, it's a good shoe. I don't know, there's not much difference between the Evo Mafate and the Evo Mafate 2. Slightly lighter weave, slightly better tongue. The lockdown is perhaps slightly better on the new one, but not as good as if for lockdown I prefer the Speed 3. But they just it's something I feel like you could run. You feel planted and can run on any surface. And yeah, I suspect if you're like me, either's going to suit you. If you are looking to run a race over a long distance, perhaps this is the better shoe than the Speed, because it's just the difference between the two is the slightly more responsive feel in the forefoot. So a huge amount of cushioning. You can run ultramarathon distances in them, but just with, they're not going to soak. It doesn't soak up the energy as much. You feel like it's kicking you off more. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Yeah, good shoe. Honestly, though, any of these would be good. Buy whichever one's on offer is my advice for today. Okay, take care. See you next time.